Hi friends, now let's continue into understanding some standard signals. So some standard signals are defined so that it becomes easier for us to understand a complex signal if we can split the complex signal into these fundamental simple signals, and if we know the behavior of the system for any given standard signals, then definitely it would be quite useful in analyzing, designing, and all that. So let's begin our journey into understanding some standard signals. One of the most common and efficient signal in signal analysis is an exponential signal. An exponential signal under continuous time can be expressed as some constant times e to the power alpha t, where e is an exponent and alpha is a variable and t is the time. So x of t can be represented as some constant a times e to the power alpha t. Alpha can be a real number, alpha can be a complex number. So we need to understand what this means, if it is real, if it is complex, if it is real with positive quantity, if it is real with negative quantity, if it is complex, then what. So all details we have to understand. So this is the continuous time version of exponential, and that's how it looks like. A simple example which taken is f of x as e to the power x, as x is minus infinite, the value is 0. So as it increases, the value exponentially increases. At t equal to 0 or x equal to 0, the value will be 1. E to the power 0 is 1. So from infinity it smoothly reaches to 1, and after that it increases exponentially, and that's how it looks like in continuous domain version. The same thing we can talk in the discrete time version. The discrete time version is x of n, where n is different instances in time we are talking about. So that talks about a to the power r of n. So where n is a instant and r can be a real quantity or an imaginary quantity. A real quantity, if so, can be a positive, negative, but when it is imaginary quantity, then it will be complex conjugate, and so on. So that's how the discrete version of exponential would look like. So as a time goes to minus infinity, value is 0 and it starts increasing exponentially at different instances, and they are discrete in time, whereas this one is continuous. So the value along x-axis here is x, so it is continuous along x. So whatever is the value along x-axis, if it is x, then this is discrete domain in x. If it is t, then this has a discrete time stamps we are talking about. So here whatever growth you are seeing here, so both are appearing to be growing in this case, so that depends on the value of alpha in case of continuous time, and it depends on the value of r in case of the discrete time version, because n is the instant 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on, and r is the one which decides whether it increases or decreases. The value, if value of r is more than 1, then this will be an increasing, and if the value of r is less than 1, then it will be decreasing, and if the value of r is negative, then we have alternate positive and negative as outputs and all that. So that all depends on the value of alpha in case of continuous time or r in case of discrete time, and both r and alpha can be real or complex. So if it is a complex one, then the real component of that is deciding what the decay rate is, and if it is imaginary, then it is deciding about the oscillations. So if you just look at the x-axis, that in the x-axis the imaginary component is 0, therefore there won't be any oscillations. But yes, the value of real part, so the real component here is negative, therefore it is decaying. The value of the real component here is still negative, but magnitude wise this is more than this value, therefore the decay rate is faster compared to this decays even faster compared to this, and so on. As you move these points more to the left, the decay rate is more and more faster. So the decay rate is decided by the x component. If it is negative, there is decay, and if the value is positive, then it is increasing instead of decaying. So this value positive makes the function keeps increasing. So that's what the real component talks about, is the decay rate. The more negative, the more faster it decays. The positive, it's instead of decaying, it increases, diverges. So that's about the real part. If you look at the imaginary part talks about the oscillation. It talks about the frequency of oscillation. For smaller, for h0 there is no oscillation, so you can see that there are no oscillations, but as you increase the value of imaginary part, then the signal will have oscillations. As you move up and up, the frequency of that signal is increasing. Because we are on the y-axis, the real component is 0, therefore there is no decay, there is no increase. So we have a constant magnitude sinusoidals, but as you move up and down, the frequency of that is varying. As you move left and right, the magnitude is varying. So if you look at this particular point, then we can see that the real component is negative, therefore there is decay, and the imaginary component has some value, therefore there is some oscillations. So there is oscillation, but the magnitude of the oscillation is decaying with respect to this. As you move to this, the oscillations decay faster. The more we go to the left, the faster the oscillations decay and settle down. The same way, if you move upward, the frequency is increasing. If you move to the left, then the same frequency will remain, but the magnitude keeps decaying at this rate. As you move towards more left, then the decay rate is faster, so it decays more faster. The more left you go, the faster decay is there. The more up and up you go, the faster oscillations will be there. The frequency of oscillation keeps increasing. Therefore we call the imaginary axis as omega. Omega is the frequency in radians, whereas the real component we called sigma. So this is a common plane. On the other side, if you look at this, then for a positive component of sigma, we have increasing thing. For positive component of sigma with some non-zero imaginary value, then there will be oscillations, but these oscillation magnitudes keeps increasing. So the oscillation magnitude keeps increasing with time. And if you move further upwards, then the frequency of oscillation also increases, and with time the magnitude also increases. So overall, what we can see here is the location of the point where we are talking in this particular plane will tell us very clearly how our signal looks like. So if the point is here, our signal looks like this. If the point is here, our signal looks like this. If the point is here, signal looks like this. If the point is here, signal looks like this. If the point is here, signal looks like this. If the point is here, signal looks like this, and so on. So this is what we call the S plane. S plane consists of two components: the real component, that is the sigma, and the imaginary component, that is omega. These two will decide the behavior of the signal. So the signal can, any signal can be expressed in terms of this pair for a given point. And we can see that this side of the plane, that is right side of the omega axis, all the values keep increasing. Then so the values keep increasing. So as long as our system can tolerate it, it is okay. But there we reach one point where our system cannot handle this magnitude and the whole system breaks down. Therefore, if the points are on the right side of this axis, then we call that system is going to be unstable. If such signals are used, it is going to be unstable. So this whole plane we call a S plane, which we get in detail more when we deal with Laplace transform. Laplace transform is the one which converts our signals and system into S-plane. So we just convert our signal and systems and give them a numerical or mathematical color to that through this S magnitudes. How much is the sigma, how much is the omega. Accordingly we can say how the signal looks like or how the system behaves like and all that. So that is what we have about the exponential signals, and this exponential signal forms the basis for any LTI system solutions. LTI here is linear time invariant systems. So the system is assumed to be the simplest possible, which means linear in nature. That means output input has got some linear relationship, because that's the simplest system we can think of. And then we say time invariant, that means whatever we are measuring now, the similar effect is possible anytime in future also, or whatever we had measured for some situation in the past, and if same situation occurs now, then the behavior is going to be same as it was behaving earlier. That means the behavior of the system doesn't change with time. So if we are dealing with some systems whose behavior don't change with time and whose the behavior input output relationship is linear, that's the simplest system we can think of. And this the exponential signals form the basis functions for understanding any LTI system. So when we are dealing with the LTI systems, we get more in detail about why exponential signals are so important in signals and systems. So that's something about the exponential signal in the time domain, exponential signal in the exponential signal in the continuous time domain, exponential signal in the discrete time domain, and the value of alpha or n decides how does the overall signal looks like. So for alpha we are talking, it can be real or complex. If it is real, then this is what it looks like. If the value of alpha is more than 1, it is increasing. If the value of alpha is less than 1, between 0 and 1, then it is a decrementing, decreasing or decaying exponential. So these are the most fundamental signals that can be used for understanding any signal, any complex signal. So we can split any complex signal into these basic exponential signals, and at the same time, if we understand how a system behaves with an exponential signal, then we can do some experiments and try to understand the actual behavior of a system. So that's our whole goal, to understand any complex signal and to understand behavior of any complex system, so that in future, if we know what signal we want, how to get it, or in future if we want to define a system that behaves like what we want, then how that should be created, how that should be designed and all that. So that's our final goal in learning these signals and systems. So in that, exponential signals play a very important role. So that's it for now. Keep watching. We have many more in our future episodes, so keep watching. Thank you.